Welcome guys to another episode of Make Adventure Happen podcast. In this podcast, in every episode, we talk about one country. We answer some of the most popular questions about this country and we share our own experience in the country. That's me, Kaspars and Una. And today we will be talking about Singapore. Many know it as a modern country, and I can completely agree on this one. Many also know it as a super expensive country. That's something I think also you, Una,
Yes.
wouldn't like 100% agree about, and I think
No.
we will touch this at some point. And the way we are going to do it is like always. I'm going to Google, type in Singapore, and look what are the most popular questions that people are asking about. And the way we look at these questions is mostly from the tourist perspective, like mostly from a person who is going to the country for some time, for a visit, a shorter visit, maybe a longer visit, but a visit, not for living or staying. And yeah, let's dive in. Let's start with the first question. An interesting one actually. No one is talking about is Singapore rich or poor. What is the most famous thing about Singapore?
I think, sorry, I think the most famous thing about Singapore is this famous hotel, Marina Bay Sands, and also a park, their most popular park, Gardens by the Bay. I think these two things are the
Yeah,
most
yeah. You think
well
also?
known.
Okay. I agree about the Marina Bay Sands, the big building. Google Marina Bay Sands.
With the pool on top.
Yeah. I think that's what like the number one thing that people know about Singapore, and number one like landmark that they have in mind thinking of Singapore. Gardens by the Bay, maybe a nice place by the way. Do people know about it?
I think they know the trees. When you Google
Oh, yeah.
Singapore, they probably have seen the artificial trees. That's what it can be.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It's quite an iconic site. Let's go further. Why is Singapore popular for tourists? Same thing.
Yeah, also because it's so modern and people like. People travel there to see with their own eyes the Singapore's famous modernity.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the reasons, because people have heard so much
Yeah.
about how modern this place is and they want to see it. I think another reason is because of the country's location. It's conveniently located, and so that it's easy to stop there for a day or two when you are traveling from Europe to Asia or from Australia to Europe and vice versa.
Or if you are traveling to Malaysia, you can also include a visit to Singapore.
Yeah, easily, like super easy. Other things, I don't know. I think it's like about two things: the great location and the like how modern the country is. That might be the reason. Let's go to this one. I think it's an interesting one, and I think that opinions will vary like crazy a lot. How many days in Singapore is enough?
Many people.
Like, how would you go?
I would recommend maybe 5 days.
Okay.
But I know people who have spent like 7 days and told that it's not enough, and I completely agree because there's a lot to see in Singapore. Many people think that there's like only one or two places to visit in Singapore, and it's not really worth a visit. But it's not true, because Singapore is packed with parks, attractions, hiking trails, even beaches, even museums, architecture, and so on.
Speaking of me and how I would like tell you like how to decide about how long to spend. If you like big cities and if you are after this modern life, then you can easily go for 2 weeks, like spend your whole maybe 2 week vacation in Singapore easily. If you like big cities, if you like modern life, if you like also finding out about cultures, and 2 weeks you can easily spend. But I also can see how even a quick stop to Singapore can make your trip more rich. Like
Yes.
I also like even if you can have only 1 or 2 days,
Yes.
I can
Yes.
highly recommend
Yes,
you
of
to
course.
do this stop.
If
But-
yeah,
But if you like the cities and you have time, then 2 weeks, I would say you can easily spend 2 weeks, like a few days exploring the modern things and parts, a few days for nature, both within the city and more away.
yeah,
Then to explore the different cultures, Chinese, Malay, Indian, and then maybe a few days for leisure time on the beach and theme park. Like there's lots to do. Anything?
If Singapore is not like the main place where you will spend most of your vacation, then I guess like you said, even 2 days is like beneficial just to see how it is life in Singapore.
The next question, very touristy question. Do you need a visa?
No.
No, many nationalities don't need. Maybe like there is a chance that your nationality with your passport you need, but Europeans we don't need. I think also Americans don't need. Yeah, you just get a stamp and if you arrive, give your passport, get a stamp, can spend the time a month maybe or 3 months depending on your passport.
But as of recently, you need to fill out a form online. That's a new thing, because when we traveled to Singapore, there was no such requirement. You just show up at the airport and with your passport. But now they have added this rule that you need to fill in a form online.
We have been to Singapore maybe 5 times.
Yeah, quite a few times.
I have been maybe a few times more than you, and the last time when I was in Singapore was in 2020.
Yeah.
It was quite an interesting time right before the pandemic, and having this opportunity to go to all the most popular sites with very few or no tourists, it was quite an experience. Next question, a very touristy question, and I think the answers can vary. What area should I stay in Singapore? I believe it's like from the whatever this question is from. I think we will answer from the like tourist perspective as a tourist.
Yeah, well, somewhere very central, like not far from Marina area, Marina Bay area, and or in Chinatown.
Little India is
Little
cheaper.
India is not far from the central part of Singapore. And there's one more.
Geylang, you mean?
Yeah, no, that's red light area.
I'll talk about it more. Red light district.
Yeah.
It is considered.
Yeah, but we stayed there. It's okay, but it's quite far. Well, it's further from the city, further down from the city, further up, I think. And I think Marina Bay area and Chinatown are the best.
So
places.
Marina Bay Sands area and the Chinatown. About the Marina Bay Sands area, I will add that it's gonna be an expensive area.
Yeah.
You will be likely to spending maybe like 200-300 euros a night. There's high chance. Chinatown. You can also find hostels. Little India, not far away from there. Also hostels available and
Hotels
rooms.
also, yeah.
And rooms starting from maybe 40, 50 euro dollars, so quite reasonable. And then there is this Geylang. You said it's a little bit further away. It's true,
But there's a metro.
but it's good. It's good. Like I have spent maybe 2 weeks in Geylang, and I have nothing bad to say about this area. Lively, with some old architecture to like walk around and look at. A few metro stops and you are near Marina Bay. So
Yeah, maybe.
I would say there are many areas where you can stay in Singapore. Just don't be like 20 kilometers away from the center.
Yeah, don't stay right next to the border with Malaysia. It's far.
It's far. I don't really know if there are hotels that far.
Yeah, probably.
Have you been that far? Except for the border crossing?
No, we haven't.
I haven't. I have.
Ah,
One time, I think it was 4 years ago, when I was in Singapore for a week, and I was looking for interesting things to do, and I came up with an idea to rent a bicycle and go cycling, like to the border of Malaysia. I almost went all the way there, and let me tell you this: it's a completely different Singapore, like completely different. All low rise. Actually very simple looking, simple private houses, not a fancy gateway like you would maybe expect. There are also like very simple areas. But yeah,
just
for a
like-
tourist,
Yeah,
Chinatown
yeah.
and Marina Bay, Sands area
Yeah.
somewhere. Next question, should I stay in Chinatown? Yeah.
There's a lot of good food options in Chinatown, by the way.
Yeah.
And beautiful architecture as well.
Yes, beautiful architecture, beautiful temple or temples. And there is also, what was the name? I think Chinatown. I think it was called Chinatown Food Street.
Yes,
Something
yes. The
along these
famous
lines.
food street of Singapore. Well, one of the most famous.
Yep. If you like food, Chinese food, Chinatown is a very good area. Why is Chinatown so cheap? I think it's just how it is. I don't have anything to add.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, let's go to the what was this question? Is Singapore expensive?
From a European's perspective, not really. Well, especially if you are comparing the prices in Europe now and in Singapore now, then I think it's not expensive because
Reasonable.
there are like countries that are way more expensive than Singapore in Europe from a tourist perspective. Well, if you want to live in Singapore, then maybe it's more expensive than in Europe. But if you, as a tourist, plan to come to Singapore, I don't think you should be very concerned about it being expensive. Well, unless you are really on a tight budget, on a small budget.
Yeah, and unless you are coming for 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years in
of
Singapore. 7 years of traveling in Singapore, that would be a little bit too much, and that gonna cost you quite a lot. And yeah, but since most of tourists they come to Singapore, I actually don't have any data to refer to, but I would assume that like 70% of people they come only for a few days.
Yeah.
And for a few days you can spend a little bit more on that hotel, and if you stay in like Chinatown or Little India or Geylang, it's gonna be not that much. It's like maybe 50 euros, 60, 70 euros, dollars. It's what you pay for a hostel in
Some of
cities
the
in Europe,
countries, yes, in Europe.
more expensive countries in Europe. And food, another like important factor for a tourist can be super cheap actually.
Mhm.
You can go to a nice, like really nice food court in a shopping mall and eat for under $10, €10,
Mhm.
and even cheaper.
Some things are even like for $5
Yeah.
or $7. So I think it's a good place to travel to, and you shouldn't be average tourists shouldn't be concerned about it being expensive.
Yeah, and so accommodation, food, it's reasonable,
Transport
Transportation.
is cheap.
cheap and good. Metro,
Mhm.
super good. Renting a bicycle, expensive. Don't. Not worth it. I think so. I think it's worth it if you are looking for something unusual, but otherwise it was even like 4 years ago. It was maybe like $50 a day. I think that
It's
is
not a
expensive.
bargain. It's not a bargain for sure.
And one more thing I think that's important to consider is like, when you're coming as a tourist, that Singapore has so many free things,
Yes.
high quality free things that for what in other countries you pay big money.
Yes.
In other countries you pay maybe even in countries like maybe Thailand or Malaysia that are cheap, you maybe will pay for that park to go in $7, but in Singapore you will find a nice park to walk around for free, like marina, like gardens. Yeah, gardens.
By the bay is free. Well, part
Yeah.
of it is free, and then part of it is you have to pay to enter it. But a lot of, like Kasper said, really a lot of parks and activities are free in Singapore
Yeah,
and of good quality.
yeah. There are expensive things too. Expensive food, expensive shopping, expensive hotels, and
Yes.
attractions can be expensive. But overall, for a tourist, I would say it's very reasonable. Like it's good value for your money. Is the next question? Is it okay to wear shorts in Singapore?
Yes,
Yeah.
both for men and women.
I think it's funny that no matter what country you look up, like on Google, like there is this question: is it
Can
okay?
you wear shorts? Are you allowed to wear shorts?
Yeah,
In Singapore, you can wear shorts. Yes.
maybe in some temple. No,
Yes,
mosque,
temples, yes.
No.
Mosques and temples, maybe not. But maybe they will offer, like, if you are going to visit the temple, I think there should be some, like, robes you can rent or something like that. But otherwise, you can walk around in shorts.
Yeah. The next question is it safe to walk around in Singapore at night?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
Singapore is one of the safest countries on the planet, no?
Could be like
Could be.
among the very top
Yes.
safest places. And in case you don't know, Singapore is a small place. Singapore is maybe what I would have to look up the numbers, but Singapore is something like maybe 40-50 kilometers only, like 2 hours on a car, and you are already across the country, and it's a city state.
It's more of a city, yes.
Let's see, it's 734 square kilometers. So that means it's like 20 to 30 kilometers, like 20 to 30, 600. So it's a big city. It's more of a big city than a country, and accordingly, I guess that's one of the reasons why it is so safe. It's easier to like keep everyone safe in such a small, organized place. And speaking of this organization and safety, here is one thing that came to my mind. One thing that I think people know Singapore about is that Singapore, as they jokingly say, is a fine country, fine city, and not fine as a nice or great or good, but fine as a country where you get fined
for everything.
For everything. And do you remember what? What are the things that you are not allowed to do in Singapore unless you want to pay a fine? Chewing gum.
chewing gum, littering, eating durian maybe in public places, eating and drinking in metro.
Littering.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
Littering, maybe being loud,
Most likely.
yelling.
That's a nice thing.
Drinking in public, maybe. Using drugs,
Yeah, of course.
smoking,
Uh,
that
yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, and I see that they also mentioned that do not eat or drink while on public transportation. There is also a fine for that. I honestly have never heard anyone really being fined for any of these, let's say, small things like jaywalking or littering or chewing a gum. But the rules are there, and I guess it's
You
like a preventive method. Maybe,
Yeah, you don't want to break them anyways.
Yeah. And
If just in case if you are the only one who gets fined.
Yeah, and I remember going to Singapore for the very first time, and maybe for the first times, maybe in 2014, maybe 15 or 16 then. And I remember how afraid we actually were. We thought like, if Singapore is so strict, will they be okay without like medication pack? I think we can answer the question. Like, can you bring the medicine? I think that's a question many may have in mind. And what I would say, like from our experience, in short, it's pretty fine for not fine like you won't be fined for like normal things, but
Yeah, I think over-the-counter medicines, most of them will be okay.
Yeah.
Like painkillers and whatnot.
And
No, over-the-counter, not the strong ones.
Yeah, and yeah, we personally have never had problems, but you shouldn't rely on that. And,
just see on the internet which medication is prohibited in Singapore.
There might be more of them than in your country.
Yeah.
That applies actually to almost any country where you travel. Like, but personally, I didn't feel like more controlled or checked when coming to Singapore.
Yeah, I don't really remember their screening our bags.
Yep. The only thing that I know about cigarettes, bringing into the country, you are not allowed. I think the rules haven't changed. You are not allowed to bring like any cigarettes.
If you bring, then you have to pay like
import.
Yeah,
tax.
Import tax. You can bring one opened pack for free, but for others, others unopened ones, you have to pay some sort of an import tax, which is high. And our friend, he had some cigarettes with him, a few packs, and they told him that he has to pay import tax, and he said. And then the guy who was like declaring the cigarettes, he said that it's actually cheaper to buy them in Singapore because this tax was even higher than the cigarette price in Singapore, and cigarette price in Singapore was already high. So yeah, that's what you should take into account. And I think you are not allowed to bring e-cigarettes into the country. Am I correct? Well, it doesn't really matter. Just check it out before.
Check it out, yeah.
Before traveling to Singapore.
There are more rules.
Yes, there are more rules. And regarding to alcoholic beverages as well, well, we don't drink, but we have heard that it could cause some problems. So we started with the... This is not an alcoholic thing. I just thought that we don't drink, and right after this, I started drinking, but it's just a protein thing.
Yeah, it's funny actually. We started with the thing that there are many things that you can get fined for. Then we continued with the fact that actually it doesn't feel that bad and strict. And then we got to the point that actually there are a few things
Yeah.
like cigarettes,
Alcohol.
alcohol, cigarettes, that we
Cigarettes.
have had this experience that they actually are very strict with. Okay, can you? You mentioned this thing, but yeah, can you go from Malaysia to Singapore by bus?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very cool thing actually. You can.
Bus or train as well.
Yeah, there is a train to the border of Singapore. It doesn't like go into the country.
Mhm.
It goes to the border.
Mm-hmm.
And the bus.
Similar, I think. It doesn't really go into the country.
Yeah.
Well, depending on the bus, I guess, but ours didn't.
Yeah, we have taken it a few times in both directions, from Singapore to Malaysia
Mhm.
and Malaysia to Singapore, and we also we were hitchhiking once. We arrived by a private car to the
Yeah,
border.
Yeah.
Then we took a bus across.
Yes. It
So-
was a long time ago. I don't really remember it.
There are many options how you can travel. I'm not sure about your personal transport, but you can take a bus for sure, train for sure, from Malaysia.
Flight also
Yeah.
a good option. There are direct flights from Kuala Lumpur and probably other cities in Malaysia, and they are usually cheap and take about 1 hour or so. I think there was a direct flight also from Langkawi. Langkawi is an island in Malaysia.
There might be. I don't remember for sure, but
Yeah.
there might be. Yeah, it sounds logical because I would assume that Singaporeans might want to go on a beach holiday in Langkawi, and
Mhm.
so since it's so close. Yeah,
Or Penang as well.
you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. You can travel
Yeah.
by
By
bus.
different modes of transportation.
Many options. And actually, some people also do like they may go also to Singapore on a day trip.
Mhm.
Maybe stay in Johor Bahru in Malaysia and go on a day trip. Also a possibility.
Ah yes, because
It's
it's,
actually-
cheaper. You cross the border in the morning, like I don't know when it opens, like maybe let's say 6 or 7 a.m. You cross into Singapore, go like exploring
Mhm. Yeah.
Singapore, and then I don't know, maybe 8, 7, 6, 7 p.m. go back to Johor Bahru. The thing is that hotels are cheaper in Johor Bahru.
Johor Bahru,
Yeah.
city in Malaysia.
Yeah,
border.
right next to Singapore.
Okay, and there is a bridge between the countries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Singapore,
Is-
by the way, used to be a part of Malaysia.
I see this question. Like, is Singapore Malaysia?
No,
No,
not anymore.
Singapore has been an independent country for something like 52,
Yeah.
53, maybe 55 years. Used to part to
Sometimes.
be of Malaysia, but then they separated.
Mm-hmm.
And became one of the richest countries in the world. Is it safe to drink water? Tap water, I
I
believe.
think we drank tap water in Singapore.
As I also see here on the internet, that it's considered one of the best in the world and best in Asia. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I remember just filling up our water bottles right from the tap. Everywhere we went, like bathrooms, yeah, well,
Yeah.
just regular taps somewhere, and I saw people doing it too.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't see such a question, but I think we can answer the usual one that everyone is usually curious about. How much money do you need? Let's look maybe not at the very cheapest,
Mhm.
but let's say you stay in Ibis, like a budget hotel, Ibis.
Ibis,
Ibis, yeah.
Ibis, Ibis.
Ibis. Room was, I believe the last time I checked, and it was maybe 1 month ago, it was 50 or 60 euro.
Okay.
So the room, 50 or 60 euro. So if you are two people, so 30 each, 30. Let's say 3 meals. Let's say $10 every, 10
Each
euro
meal,
every,
yes.
each meal, yeah. So it's 60 per person, 60, so 60. A few maybe metro rides or bus rides,
Maybe another 10 or
10.
even less.
yeah, or even less, so 70 maybe. 70, I would say, is that
The
minimum,
basic, yeah.
the basic. Staying in an okay room, eating, eating food,
Eating food.
yeah, eating good food and getting around. And there is a chance that actually you will feel like, okay, that's it what I need. Like maybe
Yeah.
you won't like feel the need to even go for paid attractions.
You might,
But if you go-
yeah, but it's not that you need to do it every day because there are so many free things to do in Singapore.
Yeah. And yeah, so you can start from something like 70 a day with a reasonably good comfort. Yeah, and one of the coolest things I think also about Singapore, there are many cool things, and one of the coolest things is that they also actually have a very good food. Like the cheap food can be very good, and
Yeah, that's true.
there are several, I believe, right now, Michelin star street food places where you can have a meal for under $10 and it's Michelin starred, and that means the presentation is nice, the ingredients are good, and also the quality, overall quality of the meal is outstanding, like world
Yeah.
class. Not everywhere around the world you can get that, but in Singapore it is possible to eat Michelin starred food for like $10. The rest of your budget, it will depend on your like
Preferences.
Yeah, preferences. If I would recommend one place, I think that one place that I would recommend you to go of the paid attractions is the well, no, I would have to check the name, but in the Gardens by the Bay, there is kind of like a botanical garden, like indoor botanical
Yes,
garden thing.
that's a really good one.
I think that's the number one thing I
Yeah.
would recommend.
Yes, me too.
The panoramic,
I would not recommend the panoramic wheel.
yeah, I also don't
Ferris
feel
wheel.
Ferris wheel.
It didn't feel really like wow. It didn't have this wow factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you like panoramic Ferris wheels, then yes, of course. But if you're like, should I do it or no, you can just skip it.
Yeah. And there is also this place. I think I found the right one. I think I found the right one. There's a place, like mark it down if you're going to Singapore. It's called what do you pronounce it? Pinnacle?
Pinnacle.
At Duxton.
Pinnacle at Duxton.
Pinnacle at Duxton. It's a place from where you
Or
can...
Pinnacle.
No, because it's not...
I don't know how to pronounce this word. Pinnacle, maybe. I don't know. Sorry, guys.
You will Google and you will find Pinnacle at Duxton or Pinnacle. It's a place from where you can have a really cool view of the city center of Singapore. And the last time I was checking prices, it was only around €5, €5, and that's cheap. That's way cheaper than going on the Ferris wheel or going to the Marina Bay Sands viewpoint. And yes, speaking of Marina,
So this is a viewpoint, right?
It's an apartment complex, and on the top they have a large area where you can go
Oh, yes, I
and
see.
walk around. And
Yeah.
yes. Speaking of Marina Bay Sands, definitely, and that's like the number one. Like, if you remember only one thing from this video, from this audio, at Marina Bay Sands and also at the Gardens by the Bay, there are, I think, 2 or 3 daily evening shows, light shows, incredible. Like so cool and completely for free. And you can plan it this way that you can go first to the Marina Bay Sands show, go to the Louis Vuitton shop. Not many people know this actually. I have been there. I have been there 10 plus times, and not many people during these visits knew of this. That if you go to Louis Vuitton and there is a pathway behind the corner of the shop, you will have the best view. You don't have to buy anything from Louis Vuitton. You have the best view completely for free, and no people there.
Versus tips.
And then when this show ends, you just go through the Marina Bay Sands, this big mall, big casino, go to the top floor, like there is an elevator going to the like kind of, not really top, but like middle of the shop, and a pathway going to Gardens by the Bay Park on the other side of the road. And
there's another show.
yeah, you will make it
show.
If you like hurry a little bit, you will make it just in time, and you will actually see that there are thousands of people doing exactly the same thing. So remember this, just one thing about from all of this: Marina Bay Sands and Gardens by the Bay evening shows. Amazing, completely for free.
And you don't have to buy anything at a Louis Vuitton store.
You can buy if you want, but it's not necessary. Let's go with one more question. Let's wrap it up with one more question. Where we left?
The last question should be a good one.
A good one.
A good one.
Is there okay. Is there a beach in Singapore?
Yes, there's a man-made island which is called Sentosa Island, and it's a resort island, and there are a lot of several theme parks.
Theme park
and several beaches.
Like attractions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's there are several beaches in Sentosa, on Sentosa Island.
At least two.
And there's a possibility of swimming and chilling on a beach in Singapore as well. But I would not say that these beaches are like wow or I don't know, something super cool. And but still you can go for a swim in Singapore.
Yes, and
well, in your pool, in your hotel's pool, if you have any, then what was I saying? There is a possibility you can swim in Singapore in the pool and on the beach on Sentosa Island.
Yeah, answering the question, there is a beach.
There is a beach in Singapore.
It's on Sentosa Island,
Yep.
man-made island. You can get there. You can walk there actually. There is a bridge. It's for free. You can take also a cable car.
Mm-hmm.
It costs some money. There's also there's a cable car was pretty expensive actually.
I think it was like a metro or something, metro train. No,
I remember.
Yeah.
Una, trust me. Walking for free.
Yes.
Like you said, the metro, the train.
Yes.
It costs some little money, and then there's cable car, the expensive option. You can also go there by cable car.
Okay. We went there using this metro train. Probably, I think it costs about like €2.
Yeah, like the normal.
Like that.
Like the normal.
Or one.
Or one or two, yeah.
Yeah, not too expensive.
And I have also walked once or twice.
Okay.
Doable. Nice walk. I think it was 600 meters.
Oh, okay, so it's really short.
Yeah.
Okay. You can explore various options.
Yeah, so to sum it up, there are many different things that you can do in Singapore. You can go for all the modern things, expensive, fancy, shopping.
Knock yourself out.
Louis Vuitton experience, that's one thing. You can go and just look at all this beauty, these shops, and go window shopping. It's cool too because there aren't that many cities in the world where you have all these things in such a nice, clean, neat and I would say, enjoyable atmosphere.
Mhm.
Then there's culture, with food, with architecture, and also beaches and theme parks like Singapore.
Universal Studios. Something.
Yeah, Universal was on the
Yeah.
Sentosa.
Yeah.
And of course the airport. Many people go to Singapore just for the airport.
Of course.
We almost missed
the
it.
only indoor waterfall or the highest indoor waterfall.
I think the highest indoor waterfall in the world is
It's pretty epic.
It's epic. We have seen a few times in Singapore, Changi Airport, the best airport in the world for many years already.
Yeah. No, I think it wasn't this year. Well, anyways, it was several.
Don't ruin my ending of the show. It's epic too.
Yeah,
it's worth a visit. Would you go to Singapore now?
Yes, of course. Why wouldn't I?
Me too. On that, let's finish the video.
Bye.
See ya.